Because I've been shooting with unboxing.
Can you publicly talk about
Yeah,
it?
I can publicly talk. No.
Yeah.
I can publicly talk.
Let's say 1 week later, do I put this episode down? Because everyone is divulging confidential information.
Yeah.
Everyone is breaking their NDAs.
This is the end of our careers before it's even started.
Can you tell us what's the most that you've made on a single day of shoot?
From a single day of work, I think I've made 1.5 lakh. That's the highest I've made.
God damn.
There are months even for me where I'm making nothing at all.
How many pivots have you made on YouTube?
YouTube was the single greatest thing that happened to me. Honestly, still it's my favorite thing to do. I think anybody who's trying to get into filmmaking should start a YouTube channel.
Can we talk about your biggest client?
How would you define a big...
How are you defining a big client?
His net worth. Has anything ever gone wrong on set?
Bro, I've just done some really embarrassing shit like early on. What would be your dream project? I don't think you're very creative. So you don't give a shit.
It's like
You don't give a shit.
like $100 million, $100 million project.
Yeah.
One project that pays me 100 million. Done.
You're not wrong. I want to start off with something that will instantly grab people's attention, right? Because I want this episode to be a total breakdown of someone who wants to get into production.
Okay.
And wants to get into how to make videos, right? It could be for mainstream cinema, it could be for YouTube, it could be for agencies.
So ideally, a career.
How does the business of making videos, of shooting videos work?
Okay.
Right? So let's set some context of how much can someone make if they are in this business, right? So for reference, can you tell us how much you have made or what's the most that you've made on a single day of shoot or a single day of work?
From a single day of work, I think I've made 1.5 lakh. That's the highest I've made relative to like a single day's work.
Damn. Generally, what does that range look like in, let's say, for your work or for other people who are doing DOP/cinematography type work?
I think it can really vary. Commercials, ad films, as they're called, tend to pay a lot more because it's fewer days of work and there are brands behind that. Like a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola or whatever, right? They have the money they're spending on it. Versus a movie, which is funded by a producer or a banner, right? And because those are longer number of days, naturally a per day cost comes down. And then there's another option, which I think the third route is now a lot of companies also hiring cinematographers, which is something I've seen of late, which I think is actually a very good sign. It's an indication to society that, okay, as a camera person, you can, like it makes it legit, right? For parents, for older people.
Yeah, I'm working with a company now.
Right, working with a company now and I'm employed here and there's a fixed salary every month. So I think there's multiple ways you can approach it.
You know, as you're saying this, one thing that I've always noticed about the kind of work that we do, right? It sometimes feels like there's a glass ceiling because the market is not normalized. Like if you take a look at tech jobs, you know that, hey, you have a FANG or a MANG or whatever it's called now. And if you get up to that level, you'll have work-life balance and you get paid a shit ton, right? But especially with freelance type work in the creative industry, you don't know, right? Like you don't know how much you would be paid. You don't know what that range is. Most people work on a freelance basis. But every now and then there are these outliers. I feel like all three of us have been that outlier at some shape or form where we have realized that, hey, okay, there is this pocket of space where if you just figure out this niche, you just start making like 10 times more than usual, right? What have you experienced that also? And what has that sort of arc been for you in the past, let's say 5 years when you've been doing this work full time?
Overseas work pays well. So there was this one phase where I was on Upwork briefly. I used to do edit work also. I used to take on edit work just for money, not really because I enjoyed it that much or anything. And I noticed like there's this certain niche. There are doctors there who will pay you like an exorbitant amount of money for a rather simple job. And these doctors are usually like older people, very naturally, like the experienced ones. Late 40s, 50s. And what I realized is they don't know what a good video actually is. Right? You've seen like these WhatsApp, corporate presentation style videos. You can do a half-ass job and still very well charge them.
Because they don't know what the...
They don't know the standard.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of a gray area, but they have the money and they're willing to pay for it.
They have the money and they're willing to pay for it without really knowing that, okay,
That's very
Even if it's good.
Even if it's good, or those low effort but high return kind of videos. I was trying to crack that for a while. Honestly, it didn't go like too far, but I was like reaching out to, like, US has a lot of these, like, they're big on dental.
Correct.
For some reason, like they have like these family dentistries.
Chiropractors. Physiotherapists. All of these,
Chiropractors
like,
is relatively new, I would say, but like dentists have
dude,
been...
US is massive. Have you not seen those videos?
They have those
tracking, like those hot chicks with boobs out. It is, dude. It's massive. The number of channels that are like millions of subscribers.
Yeah. I know.
Service business in the US is just across the level. It's huge.
Yeah.
So I was trying to reach out to these family dentals.
That did not work out.
Not as well as I thought. Actually, I think I was. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
How
Maybe
many
if I did it.
do you think?
I think I did like 70, 80 cold emails.
You know the problem with that?
Stop. Do more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was told that if you're doing anything less than 500 to 1,000 a day, you're not doing enough.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier now.
It's a shit ton, dude. I was going to say it's a fucking lot.
It is a lot.
I do like one a day and I'm like, fuck, bro.
Yeah. I was still automating it to a certain extent while still like personalizing the email. I mean, I think the goal is...
That's where it takes time.
Right? The personalization takes time. I was using Apollo.io and those other services that were there at the time. This was like a couple of years ago, before AI was a big thing. I suppose now if I did it knowing what I know, I could probably have like a greater chance of success. But I think that's the thing, right? Like with any of these things, you would think it's an easy gig, but it's not really.
Until you see the amount of work that goes into it.
Until you see the amount of work so I keep thinking to myself, maybe I should just do like, that. I should just target that one specific niche, which I know is, like low effort. But is it though? Like, because lead generation and then nurturing that lead and then converting them and then servicing and then
warming it back up 6 months down the line.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's a whole industry.
Yeah.
So it's a full job and a half. Like I think there are some outliers like where you could get like super lucky and be making a lot of money with like low effort work, but I don't think that's very usually the case.
How many pivots have you made on YouTube? Because YouTube was your foray into this entire space, right? So what, like, summarize that for us in, let's say, 5 minutes.
YouTube was the single greatest thing that happened to me, and I, honestly still it's my favorite thing to do. I think anybody who's trying to get into filmmaking should start a YouTube channel. And I don't say that from it's 2025, you should start a personal brand POV, but rather it teaches you everything, a little bit of everything, I think. Now I think there's hacks, like you'll probably use AI for this, AI for that. But like, it's very beautiful to do like manual writing and then, actually filming that yourself, actually editing that yourself. I think that's the reason like I'm able to, understand editing today or understand color grading or understand writing, even though I don't professionally advertise myself as an editor or a colorist. It's because I did YouTube, right? So I started in 2013 when I was 13 years old. Did a channel. I wanted to do a channel about technology, but at the time I didn't have the means or the know-how. My brain cells, I think, weren't mature enough. So I think I did videos about what I knew, which is like I was playing guitar at the time. So I did this weird mix of a channel where I did guitar covers and also videos about jailbreaking your iPod. I don't know if you were into that stuff, but it was a big niche.
I was.
Do you know Cydia? Do you remember?
Yeah.
I'm not an Apple person, so I have no clue.
That jailbreak had one app, right?
Cydia.
That used to Cydia. Correct.
That's your app store for,
correct.
if I remember correctly, right?
That used to show up once you were jailbroken.
And you would find all sorts of tweaks and make videos about them. So that was a fun time. Honestly, such a it was fun. And then in 2016, when I was in like 8th, 9th grade, I think I pivoted. I started making videos about Clash of Clans, not because I was good at it, but it was trending at the time. I think I did about 150 videos and then grew my channel from 0 to 1,000 subscribers. And then in 2018, again, I started a new channel. This channel was called iClash, the Clash of Clans on I because of iPod and Clash. And then in 2018, I started a new channel with my own name. And this time I was actually doing what I wanted to do, which is like gadget reviews and tech reviews and all that. So I think I did about 100, 120, 150 videos of that again. Was invited to events by brands, got sent phones sometimes, got sent like a whole bunch of tech, like these weird Chinese gaming controllers and stuff. That's where
Do you still have them?
I still have all of it. Yeah.
Wait, so they let you keep it?
Yeah, let's keep it. So some of it, like it was a mix, right? So some of it, so I got the original Google Pixel. That I had to send back. But then like there's other products sometimes that I would get which I could keep, like a Xiaomi phone, or like I'm trying to think what's the most expensive thing that I've gotten. I think later on the Aperture lights are probably the most expensive thing that I've received, because that was like worth 35-40K at the time, right? A lot of money for somebody me at that age. That was like a lot of money.
And you were being flown out as well to events. And
I was
things
being
like
flown
that,
out to
right?
events as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was fun.
What was like the craziest being flown out story that you have?
They would have these celebrity brand ambassadors at the events, right? So I think one time there was Deepika Padukone. So at that age, I think seeing her was like pretty cool.
Do you have a picture of this?
No, she was on stage. Like we don't really get to go
meet
there.
her.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just that.
Were you like the youngest person there in the YouTube
me and
batch?
Katie? I think.
Oh, you guys went together?
Yeah, we went for a couple of those events
Crazy.
together.
Katie didn't mention that.
Katie was low. He was
flown
like
out.
in Delhi though, so like he was,
Oh, he was
like
not
just-
flown. He took a bus to the plane.
Yeah. But there's also a couple of other people who were even younger. Like
You were mentioning the reason why they pick like young people, no?
not only young people, there were also older people also. you make that sound like very sus, but
It
No,
sounds
but
like
it made a lot of sense that the experience and the
no, there was
Sort of
big publications
show
also.
off
Geeky
this thing
Ranjit,
that
whatever,
you
C4E Tech, all of these guys were there too. Like,
right.
in fact, the first few events I didn't get invited. I was crying. I was sad. But then later, once I knew them, like once I knew the agency that was handling it.
Right.
yeah. Tell me about that. How does that happen? Because we were talking about how networking is such a huge part of being successful, right?
Right.
Especially in a sort of what's the word, scattered market or a
Right.
scattered world like creatives. How do you, let's say, get in touch with and network with the right people who are, let's say, handling that one Google account or Xiaomi account or things like that?
I think at the time I was just too young. Like I don't really think I cracked it. It was probably just luck. Like I think I was referred by a friend who was already like being. So I think Dharmik. I don't know if you know Dharmik.
I think Katie mentioned that.
Dharmik Patel. He's now at. He's now working with Amazfit.
Oh, yeah. He did
Yeah,
mention.
he did.
Yeah, he was earlier with Xiaomi, and then he was also a creator. He was making videos on YouTube.
Is he here in Bangalore or Delhi?
He was in Bangalore, and I think he moved. He was in Bangalore. He moved back to Mumbai. He's originally from Mumbai.
Okay.
Somebody I think referred or something like that. I don't know what happened at the time. But yeah, what I noticed is it's not really about the subscriber count or the quality of videos. That much I could figure out. It's just knowing the right people.
I was asking someone that so Spotify does this curated list, right? Spotify, if you're listening, please.
Yeah.
But
The day list.
Spotify does this curated. That's for music. They
Okay.
do a similar one for podcasts as well,
Okay.
where they highlight because their whatever the charts that they have, it's not purely based on performance, especially for podcasts.
Okay.
It's based on they have this editor's choice
yeah.
where they showcase these cool new podcasts. And I was asking someone that how do you get there, because it's definitely not because of your viral.
You're
right?
trending on Spotify.
Yeah, and they say if they like you, they just pick you. It's kind of
Yeah.
like LinkedIn giving out those white LinkedIn top voices, right? The
Yeah.
yellow one you can just like answer questions and get, but the
Right.
white ones you have to know the person,
Right.
and you have to
Somebody
need to have,
from the LinkedIn team
Yeah,
should
you
be
need to have
impressed
pedigree,
by you or
basically.
something.
That's insane.
Yeah, so if you have pedigree, they'll just give it to you. So that's what I was thinking, that if I need to figure out who that agency is who's working with Spotify or who that brand manager is,
Yeah.
and that's how you kind of get your foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
But now knowing what you know now, if you were to again, let's say, start off with tech content and want to get in touch with brands or agencies, what would your sort of point of view be then? How would you, let's say, if you're starting from scratch, you already have the YouTube know-how to, let's say, scale a channel, right? Or talk about the things that would get interest, which you are also passionate about. Then if you were to start getting in touch with agencies, what would that sort of playbook look like?
In tech specifically,
Yeah, we can take tech.
I wouldn't do tech. I mean, I think the first thing is like, see, I can gamify that and like I can make it work if I want. But I think first thing is just creating content about a niche you're passionate about. I think that makes a big difference. I feel like then it's very naturally, it comes to you quite naturally, and you have a higher chance of making better videos in the first place, I think.
Let me rephrase. I completely get what you're saying, that your core skill has to always be there, right? Or the quality of your work has to be at a level at a level where people are impressed with what you're doing, right? But even apart from that, I've noticed that there are some things that some people are just naturally able to do.
Right.
Let's say they might be extroverted, or they just talk to people more. One thing I've started doing now is I write on LinkedIn every day.
Okay.
And every day I make sure that I'm putting like 10 comments,
Okay.
and I'm DMing 5 different people,
Okay.
right? And I don't have an intent.
Right.
I'm just like, hey, I really like what you're doing. I just wanted to drop by and say hi and be part of your network, right?
Nice.
It's a very genuine, authentic thing.
Yeah.
Now, the gamification version of that would be someone saying that if I send out 5 DMs, what is missing is the intent and the authenticity. Now, the whole point, if you think about it, of a social network is to be social. If you like someone's work, you would go and say that, hey, I like it. But we've become so fragmented that people don't do it. So now telling someone that, hey, you go tell someone that you like their work has become so actionable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm just doing something that I really like at scale.
Yeah.
Right? So one part of it is saying that, hey, you're doing something that you really like, and organically you're doing all of these other things.
Yeah.
But another side of it is saying that, hey, when you like it, you should do this, but you do it like 10x of what you think you should be doing.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say with cold emails, you know that you have to be sending out cold emails. I send out 1 cold email every day. If I were to crank that up and send out 100 cold emails every day with the same exact strategy, the outcome would also 10x. Right? So knowing that, having said that, what can someone do, let's say, to get in touch with agencies or to get in touch with brand managers, apart from just doing good work? Because good work is the foundation of everything, right? But in your experience, like, let's say, what can we do to increase the likelihood of a brand taking notice of what we are doing and eventually leading to something? What that leads to is irrelevant, right? Looking back, what do you think went well for you there?
First thing is making good content, but combined with that also, like you pointed out, you have to be doing XYZ to constantly, like, to increase your chances, right? Ultimately, it is luck, but I do think putting in the work, increasing your chances, like you said. Like, for instance, I did a lot of videos about like lighting and camera equipment, right? And you would think people are not watching, but always there's somebody somebody from a brand side that's normally watching. So I think just making videos that you want to make.
Were a lot of other people also making these videos? Because I would think that people would.
I wasn't
make videos
approaching it
about
as
tech.
much as a strategy, strategic POE.
You were doing it for fun?
Yeah, is
Dude,
stuff
you
that
remind me of Animesh so fucking much, man. No, I get what
yeah.
you're saying. I get
Yeah.
what you're saying. See, I'll classify creators.
No, I mean, there's certainly things that I've done at certain times,
yes,
right, to increase my odds.
yeah.
Yeah, what
They
are those
might
things?
be unconscious that
Yeah.
you just happened to do
Right.
that worked out,
Yeah.
and it was not intentional.
Yeah.
And I get that. I
Yeah.
just want to know what it was.
Yeah.
It seems so like such a thing that's like a given to me. Like, even saying it out loud
Yeah.
feels like,
Did you do like a bunch of brand deals? Because I've never done a brand deal before.
yeah.
What was that experience like? How
This is
do
earlier,
you
so-
get brand deals as a tech creator?
So I used to do these videos, like top apps videos. I would publish one video every month, like a long format video, like a listicle, right? Top 10 apps for Android, whatever. So these are, I would like go in depth research, find out, okay, what are some apps that you can use? Some that's fun, some that's free, some that's paid, and then I would make a listicle about that. And I think with time, like, those videos started blowing up, and some developers took notice of that, and they would start. It was mostly inbound, right? And from there, I think that was just like a ripple effect.
So they would find your email, or
They would find my email,
and you would
from my
just get
YouTube.
inbound.
Yeah, I would mostly get inbound.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I have done outreach at a different time. So during COVID, I did this thing where I wanted to, because we're all logged in, right? I was like, let me just find from my 100 square foot bedroom let me just see if I can find somebody to pay me to make a video for their app. And this is not a YouTube video, but can I make like a commercial for them from this bedroom? Right? And I made a whole video documenting the process also. And what I did is I went on the Play Store or App Store, and I was like, okay, let me just see what are the niches that pay well, first of all, right? How do you, right? That has to be either apps that have in-app purchases, or something like a gaming, like a video game, or like a travel app, right? There are certain niches that pay more than the others. So I made a list of those apps. I went on their individual app pages and I'm like, okay, first of all, do they have a product video, right? If they don't have a product video, that probably means that they could benefit from one. How many downloads do they have?
That's a great way to think about
How many downloads do they have? If they have over 1 million, probably not as approachable. If they have less than 5K, they're still starting out, maybe not worth approaching. If they're between 5 and 100K, there's something there. And then I would make a very like specific list and I would email them, personalized, of course. But within that personalization, I would also send them an image. Like, you know how those mock-up images? But it wasn't a mock-up. I downloaded their app on my phone. I held the phone in like my hand. I did like a product photo shoot setup thing, and I would send them like a high quality image taken on my camera. I'd be like, hey, look, this is what I do. Keep it very short, 100 word email. Came across your app. I think it's great, whatever. And I think you could benefit from product video. Would love to take this further. Here's my calendar. Book a whatever email. Book a time slot. It's great if you don't want to work together right now. Here's a image that I took of your app that I think you can use, and you can post it on your social media for free if you wanted. I think I sent about not many, 15 emails, and they were so high, like so specific, right? I think almost all of them read the email. So you have that. There was this app that would let me check like read receipts, and 2 of them responded, and 1 I actually converted to like make a video for them. I think this was about like 400 euros at the time.
That's incredible, man.
So I had to make like a 1 minute
conversion. That's great.
Yeah, I had to make like a 1 minute video about the app, and then I also told him, look, I'm gonna make a YouTube video about this process, right? So all along I've been documenting my journey, and I told him, look,
Free market.
no, why don't you just sponsor the video as well?
Oh, good idea.
That would just be like an additional 100 euros, maybe 500 in total.
That's so smart, man.
Let me give you a.
How old were you when this happened?
18, 19. Didn't go, not 20. Yeah, I think COVID.
Dude.
Yeah.
I feel so stupid being at 18, 19. No.
This is first principle thinking. Do you know first principle thinking?
I think I do.
This is exactly what you explained, right? First
Yeah.
principles thinking is, for someone listening who doesn't know, you break down the problem statement into very fundamental pieces, right? So the problem statement was, hey, I want to make a video for an app. But then you break it down into, okay, which app? How do I classify it? Once I've identified, let me make a list. Once I have a list, how do I approach them? I can't just write a generic email. They won't care. So how do I get them to care? I'm short, I'm concise. And I personalize it to such an extent that, as Alex Hormozi says it,
It's very difficult to say no.
feels stupid saying no.
Yeah.
Right? This is exactly the kind of thing that anyone who's listening should be doing, right? How does this framework or a similar framework fit into your work now? I'm sure now you get a lot of inbound, but when you're first starting out, how did you start picking up momentum?
Yeah, I think my first freelance video gig was when I was like 17. After 12th boards, I again was cold DMing a lot at the time, and also just wanted to be on set, like get a hang of like cameras, equipment, lighting. I was making videos by myself, and I knew, okay, my camera in and out, but I didn't know how these larger productions work. So I went online, looked for the best, or like the production houses that are active in Bangalore, found their founders and took the time to understand what they do, what their Instagram is about, interacted with them. And then I would send like, again, personal, like a carefully crafted DM to each of them. And I remember very vividly, I was like, to one of these founders, I was like, let me just like be around. I won't bother. I won't do anything. I'll come and do BTS photos and videos for you. I'll even like sweep the floor if you want. Just let me be around, right? And I was like, okay, I'll let you know. I wasn't really expecting it to convert or anything. A couple of days later, the producer calls me from the company and he's like, we're doing this ad for Wipro and we want somebody to do like BTS stills and video. He said it's a 2-day job and we can pay you 10,000 a day. I was like, cool. Let me just
be on the set and get paid.
be on the set.
Was
and
this,
get paid.
can you name, is this the agency that you talked about before?
Yeah. They're right here. Like, do Creative Labs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they do like a bunch
knew
of like
about that? I didn't
really
know
good
about
works.
I don't know.
Do creative Jordan Indian also they were
They were
very close to
behind
this.
Jordan. Yeah.
They are behind.
They're behind Jordan Indian for
They
a
are behind
bunch
Jordan
of
Indian.
their stuff. Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, that's why Jordan Indian videos are so good.
Because of Do Creative.
No, their production's good. Like
Yeah.
You seem to have a very firm grasp on this entire process, right? Not just because of what you're saying. I've heard you talk about this before. How did you come up to that mindset of, hey, like I'm able to understand the incentives and how people think, because this is not something that's taught in
Right.
school, college, anywhere.
I think it's, again, I want to credit YouTube for that. Just doing that long enough, and I don't know, all these things just feel natural. Like, I'm always thinking, okay, how do I make their time worth it, right? I always want to try and give somebody before getting something in return first. I just hate it when like people are just connecting with purely the intent of, and it's very very visible, very evident, right, when somebody is just trying to connect with the intent of being it transactional. Like, we get it, we're all trying to survive, we all need something from somebody, but within that, try to make it a little seamless. Like, try to only connect with people you genuinely feel a connection with, and that list can still be very large, like that's okay, but make the genuine effort to like understand what they do, who they are, how do you really help them. Just wanting to give before I take. I think that is something
I asked Animesh what I should talk to you about when you came on. And the one thing that he said, he repeated it multiple times, was that he really admires the way that you have sort of put your audience and the people around you front and center, right? He talked about how you used to do these videos, commenting on your subscribers' videos, right? And helping them get better, who wanted to make better videos like you. And there was no reason for you to do it, but you would do it weekly for, I don't know, for a very long time. And that's one thing that he said that he really admired about you. Does that also connect somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. For people who are watching, I did this weekly live stream at the time when I think 2020, 21, during that time where I was making content about filmmaking and cameras and all of that. I would go live, had this very stupid name, Wednesdays with Suraj. I could have done so much better. But the live stream was essentially, send me your work, send me anything you've edited or shot or whatever, and let me just watch it. I'll watch it live in front of everybody. Let me just have a look and I'll tell you what I like, what I don't like. And it wasn't really with the end goal of, okay, I could, make like a funnel out of this, do like a webinar, and then probably like a digital product from there. It was always just, it's just fun. Like, I think it would be cool to do this for the community. I would love to connect with other people. I also think nobody was really doing it at the time as well. I think it's just a way of connecting with the audience. Yeah.
I see this happen on YouTube quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when you started watching YouTube, but I started watching YouTube around.
I started watching YouTube once I joined engineering because, as in,
I was watching around 2012,
Right.
2013-ish.
Who were you watching first?
It started off with Key and Peele skits.
Okay.
oh,
You know,
OG.
have you seen Key and Peele?
Yeah.
well,
Key and
like-
Peele skits, and everyone in school used to like copy their jokes and
Yeah.
try to be like, oh, that was so funny. And then I saw Russell Peters for the first time. I don't remember what was like the first YouTube video I saw, but it was a bunch of like school related work. I remember Khan Academy was huge,
Yeah.
right? Because for math especially,
Yeah.
the guy was just explaining everything, and I was just like, dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
This was the time of Scoop Whoop also, I feel. Like
No, Scoop Whoop came
was-
later.
Was
Scoop
around,
Whoop
I
was
think. They were around.
I started watching Scoop
East
Whoop.
India Company,
Yeah.
Scoop Whoop.
This
AIB.
was
I think they
in
were a little later.
2014, 2015-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
then
yeah.
then once I was in 11th and 12th, then I started watching all of those things. East India Comedy. That was the golden age for comedy groups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schnitz and Giggles, SNG, and
Yeah.
East India, and so many others. But the one thing that you keep on seeing recurringly is you just have this wholesomeness when it comes to that, at least the golden age of YouTube, right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
you don't see on Instagram, you don't see on LinkedIn, you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
I've at least only experienced it on YouTube.
I agree.
But coming back to what we were talking about, like the business of being a cinematographer, right? How do you get your work now? Like where does most of the business come today?
I think it's mostly referrals at this point. Somebody I worked with previously refers me to somebody they know, and it just goes from there. Normally, I have like a decent network built up in Bangalore. It also helps that I studied film in college, so all my classmates are now in the same line of work in some way or the other. So if they need somebody, usually who do they call? They'll call somebody they know more than somebody they have not met but might have better work, but they'll call somebody they can trust, right? So that way I've managed to build honestly I've barely scratched the surface, I think, but I think Bangalore, there's some people that know me, and then Hyderabad is a network that I'm nurturing as well. So just doing repeated work, showing up again, constantly keeping in touch with people. So in Hyderabad, I've been reaching out to like directors and writers who I admire, and again, not like every person that there is, people that I genuinely connect with or think are good. I'll find them and I'll drop a comment about how I like their work and stuff. And then there was this one specific director I wanted to work with, Vinay, a good friend of mine now also. And I was like, look, we follow each other. I followed him first, and then he followed me back. But he doesn't. And I've messaged him, hey, you want to get coffee? He doesn't seem to be replying. Okay, what do I do about this problem? It's not that situation where I have followed them and they have not followed me back. It's I have followed him, he has followed me back, and I'm asking, okay, let's meet. And he said yes a few times, and I think it got delayed for whatever reason. It just kept going on. It never, fabricated to anything until there was a gig where I was asked to be a DOP in Hyderabad for a commercial. And this is a Bangalore production company, and they don't really know. It's the same company actually from earlier, right? And they don't really know the Hyderabad space as well. So they're reaching out to me with hoping I can solve this for them. And they also want me to direct it. But I'm like, look, I don't direct normally, but I do know somebody who can direct, right? So what do I say?
Connected them to Vinay.
I'm like, when I look, and he's not done commercials at this point either, right? So this is something new for him also. I'm like, dude, I'm messaging you this time not to get coffee, but like I want to get you money, man. Like let's do something together.
Yeah.
Right. Even when I'm reaching out to people, I'm like, okay, can I get them a gig? Right? Can I?
But how do you gauge if that's like a high quality, high agency person? It's just your taste.
High quality you can gauge, high agency actually you can't gauge.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized from meeting so many people. So what I like to see is if they've only done like a singular piece of like job, if they've only done like one film and it's great, it doesn't really indicate, like I'm looking for like repeated
wins rather than a single win.
like repeated pieces of work.
Yeah.
And if that's there, then they have something, like they're probably good at what they do.
Yeah.
Now, high agency is a very different thing. I've seen that like with filmmakers or people in the creative industry, they're not usually high agency.
Yeah. They come in, they do their work.
They're not. I think they're the opposite of entrepreneurs.
100%.
They're not working like on a fixed this thing. They're not disciplined the same way. Like in the creative industry, there's this very I think old stereotype that you have to be damaged to be able to write well, right? Like all the good songs come from when you've had a breakup, or all the good writing comes from when you've had a loss at an early age. So they're not disciplined in the same way. I'm more like, okay, I think it's just rinse and repeat. I'm gonna show up every day. I'm gonna fix whether I'm feeling up to it or not. I'm gonna send out that email, do that, get that thing done.
What are some of like the coolest clients that you've worked with? Can we talk about your biggest client? I'm assuming he's the biggest client.
Yeah, I guess.
How
would you define a big?
How are you defining a big client?
His net worth.
I think the biggest client in that sense then would be Nikhil Kamath. If you're considering the person with the biggest net worth, that would be Nikhil Kamath. The way that came about is from another agency, and it's funny how I came in the good books of this agency. Is this was not the first job I was doing for them, right? I've built trust at this point already. But the first job I did for them was just through cold DMing again. Actually, I don't know if it's a cold DM because there was a job requirement that was posted on one of these groups, right? And I just reached out at the right time and I was like, look, I'm here in Bangalore and I can do this for you. That was for a different job. I don't remember. It was like a corporate gig or something way back in the day. And then on a later date, these same guys had this Nikhil Kamath thing pop up, and I think they were looking for a cinematographer in Bangalore. They had one of their own, like in-house, but they were also looking for somebody who's like a little higher up and like a consultant, and who can do a good job at the same time. Yeah, that's how.
Can we talk about? I've always wondered this because I've seen multiple stories, and even in their videos they put like behind the scenes of how big their set is, right? And we know, we've talked about the economics of it and how big the production is.
Okay.
How much of it can you divulge about how their production really works? Because I've seen they have like a massive team behind it. And he's running an operation that's very unique, right? It's not just like what we are doing. He's running like 6 people, maybe 12 cameras, multiple lights. How does that really work?
I'm trying to think of what are the things that would not get me in trouble.
We can not talk about it also, which is okay.
No. I think I can say some things. I mean, it's a big crew, right? For sure. 25, 30 people on any singular podcast. I think takes a couple of weeks probably from end to end. And,
weeks.
Yeah.
So from planning to
I think getting the guest on. The shooting aspect of it is what, like one evening, one night.
Yeah.
And then I think edit table they spend a lot of time because their podcast they edit it very well. Like credit where due, and I'm not claiming credit for editing them here. I've mostly just done production only for them. But they have a different team that works on edit, and I think they do a very good job. Like it's very specific. They have like these animations and doodles and all that pop up,
and it's custom for every episode,
and it's customized to each episode.
Which is insane.
Their videos actually remind me a lot of Google's material design. I don't know if
correct.
Yeah, this is
Google in
around
general makes like
right
design related stuff.
2018 type design, right? Like it's a little older.
I mean, they still have it on the pixels. I think
Google,
it still runs. It still flows through all of their
even their product videos and everything.
The product videos, right?
Really good videos, yeah.
So yeah, I think they have a good team with like Nikhil has a good team with like great taste. I think it comes from having good taste, honestly. So they've happened to get that right. And
but why such a big team? Like I don't understand production, so this is for both of you.
Okay.
But if let's say I've seen that roundtable one that he had with Tanmay Bhatt, right?
Yeah.
Bhatt, Varun Maya, all these people.
Yeah.
And he's had multiple with Tanmay. Did you shoot the Tanmay Bhatt one?
No, that was not on at that point. That was the episode 2 or 3. I came on episode 5.
Got it. So maybe we don't talk about him in specific, but how does the ops of something like this work? Let's say he did that one with Prime Minister Modi, right?
Yeah.
How does something like that come about?
Modi, I won't speak to because I don't know about that episode. Like I wasn't working on that, but I get the gist of it.
Just the ops, because you've been around the place, right?
Right. From a production POV, okay. So how many cameras do you think? Let's say on that Varun Maya episode, how many
there were 5
I have counted
people.
You
5
should
people. Let's say if you have 1 camera per person, and on each side of the table you have 1 wide angle,
right?
That's 7 right there.
Yeah.
I would add 1 which is the overall angle,
right?
Like the widest angle, that's
right.
8. And just for buffer, I'll add 2 more to 10.
Dude, if we were dealing with 10 cameras, that would be insane. I thought 5 cameras was a flex, and now you're saying 10.
Yeah.
No. I mean, he's a billionaire, man. Like
where will you keep those cameras, bro?
Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers.
That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 cameras is what I counted.
6, sometimes 7 we had.
6 or 7 is what I counted.
If we had 5 people on the episode, then we would have 7 cameras. If we had 4 people on the episode, we would have 1 for each guest. So 4 plus 1 wide on each side. 4 plus 1 plus.
There's
so
no
6
overall wide ever.
There's no overall wide because think about it. You can't get an overall wide.
Overall wide. That's not possible physically.
It's a large rectangular-ish.
Yes. One question I have. How big is that table?
It's about 10-12 feet long maybe.
Oh, thank God. Thanks. 12 feet by?
I want to say like double of this. Maybe like 4-5.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty
It's
big.
actually it's this weird shape. It's not actually rectangular.
Correct. Yeah,
it's like
it's like a tree bark, right?
Yeah, it's one of those natural wooden.
It must be one full trunk that they've
cut.
Yeah, one of those really expensive artistic.
Yeah, because I've been shooting with unboxing. And
right.
I like in the previous conversation you mentioned
publicly talk about
yeah, I can publicly talk, bro.
Yeah.
I can publicly talk.
Let's say 1 week later, do I put this episode down?
Yeah.
Because everyone is divulging confidential information.
Yeah.
Everyone is breaking their NDAs.
This is the end of our careers before it's even started.
Right.
So,
but talk me through the ops of it. Like when do you show up? Do you show up one day before, on the day of it? How many people are there?
Yeah. So the very first episode that we did with them, for that episode we had to do what you call a recce, a location scout. that usually involves going there with your team, a couple of them, and figuring out what is the space actually like. What are the limitations? Are there large windows? Is there scope for lighting changing continuously? Can I block some of it? Where do I place my cameras? How do I hang the lights? Or where do I place the lights? If I place them on the floor, will they appear in my frame? And because it's not like a usual, like an ad film or a commercial, right? This is a 4-hour long recording and it's a 5-hour long recording, and once you start rolling, it's fixed. So all of these things, where do you place the lights? And if I hang them from the ceiling, will they damage my ceiling? Is this the client's house? Do I need to worry about it? Are they okay with me damaging the ceiling, right? So all these things come into play. Before the first episode, we did a recce, and after that, more or less, we have not had to do the recce. Before the shoot day, my job is also to send the client, okay, I need this and this equipment, get the budget approved by them, and then I should send the same list out to the rental guy who's renting out the cameras and lights.
So even for a high production shoot, you still rent the equipment, you don't buy it.
Yeah, I've thought about that problem actually. Like, doesn't it make more sense to buy, right? But the thing is, more than the money thing for him, it's like a maintenance thing, I would guess. And also, since they're like jumping between locations, because we do use a substantial amount of equipment for those shoots, right? And I can tell you, we can shoot like a movie with that equipment.
Really?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, with that much equipment, honestly, you can shoot like a movie, like a decent indie film is.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of people behind the camera also.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people behind the camera. So me and Gaurav, we would usually lead the team, and we would have like 6 operators or 7 or 5 operators. Basically, one person assigned to each camera, right? While it's rolling, you have to make sure it's rolling. No cuts in between, because these are very important people that are there in front of the camera, and their time is valuable. So just making sure that is running smoothly. And I think the hardest part with that specific shoot, each shoot of course has its own challenges, but here, once the lighting is locked, it's pretty much locked, right? So there's not much that can go wrong there. But the difficult thing was keeping the cameras running for however long they were talking. And what I mean by that is, sometimes the cameras would die, and due to no mistake of our own, right? Like, sometimes cameras are just old and beat up, right? Like, I can't even blame the rental guy exactly for that, because how exactly do you expect him to arrange 6 of the same cameras in excellent work condition?
When
it's a very specific
buying those
requirement.
cameras, right? Each camera costs what?
7-8 lakhs.
7-8 lakhs.
7-8 lakh.
Yeah,
What?
the camera costs that much, and the lens
Maybe
is close
more,
to
I think.
no 7-8 only.
FX6 is, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
FX6 is
8-10 lakhs maybe.
yeah.
Crazy.
And you have your lens which cost about 2 lakhs.
1.5-2 lakhs.
Yeah, and you pay like 100th of the price to rent.
Yeah,
it,
usually it's a
actually.
1% cost.
So it does not make sense to buy it, to be frank, because that many cameras, where you lose.
So we had very specific requests, right? Like, we made our vendor buy like large memory cards. Like, nobody's ever asked them to get
260
8
GB.
512 GB cards.
Oh,
Right?
crazy.
Or like 6. He's like, I won't do it. We're like, no, you have to do it. The client. Right?
Why don't you just buy it yourself?
That's not on me. That's not really my.
Bro, that's again a 40,000
Like,
rupee
I'm-
card per card.
What?
Yeah, it's 40,
Yeah,
44,000
so we
or
use
something.
those SDXC cards, because you can use SDXC cards. Actually,
Yeah.
a lot of people think you
That's
can't,
the
but
one
you
I use,
can.
man.
Yeah, that's what you have on these cameras
Yeah.
also. People think you can't use them, but you can.
Yeah. But I would say tough cards are
Tough
better.
cards are ideal, but
Yeah.
at
But
that size,
512 GB, like, why will he invest like a whole
yeah.
thing?
So it was. Yeah, so we had like very specific requests, and Bangalore is still a smaller scene compared to Mumbai. Like, Mumbai would probably have this equipment like already. Like, they might
They will
have to do a
give you
few
new
calls and
ones.
like but they would have it ready. So doing this in Bangalore, very
Little harder.
specific requirement. It was
Has anything ever gone wrong on set?
yeah.
Can you talk about it?
With this shoot,
No, with general shoots. मतलब ऐसा specific नहीं
I've
पूछ
just
रहे हैं.
done some really embarrassing shit like early on.
Or tell us like the most embarrassing thing you've done or the stupidest thing you've done on shoot.
Before you roll, like on a film, for example, right? This is a film I'm talking about. You don't want to be in front of the camera, right? Like, I was doing this clapboard thing, right?
Yeah.
So I would clap and I'm supposed to like
Go.
step out, but
Yeah.
I have jumped into a different spot, which is
In front of the
still
camera.
In front of the camera, probably
Right.
worse.
Uh.
Right? That's one thing. Or this other thing that I did is, on the day of wrap up of this shooting schedule, we were cutting a cake as you would normally, and you know those candles.
Right.
not those the real candles, but those
Auto light
full
ones.
jadi.
Oh, flower pot types.
I've come and put this upside down in front of like this 25-30 member crew or probably more, and at that point I already didn't have a great impression going. This is one of the earlier things I did. Not very confident in myself at that point. And then I come and do this, and then everybody's just having a ball, just like they're laughing, and it was talked about for a while, I think. And then I was trying to light it up. No, let's not. Yeah.
But this is still not like purely work related. What's like a work? So the one thing that we face quite a bit, especially with my camera, is just like it dies in the middle.
Yeah.
Right? Or we have had a couple of times, although it's never been serious, but like we'll be recording and then that is recording, right?
Yeah.
It'll just like we won't record.
Yeah.
So there's a very
like right
dumb,
now, like some time ago.
Yeah, dumb low hanging fruits, right? But I also know that the minute you start recording with, let's say, very high value people,
Yeah.
you can't do the same thing twice.
Yeah. No, we've lost footage.
Yeah, you can't.
I'll tell you
break
that we've lost
and-
like even on that shoot we've lost footage. And I've spoken about it before also in that video that I did. But
Right.
What exactly conspired for this to
So-
happen? Because we are generally very careful when it comes
no, the
to
camera
these things.
just died.
The camera
in
gave
mid
up.
recording.
Right.
So it was plugged into a V-mount battery. I'm getting a little technical here. The V-mount battery is like this bigger, think like a power bank.
It's a power bank.
It's a power bank on steroids, and it's plugged into your camera so that the camera is running the whole time.
Right.
We have this plugged in, and the camera is saying, yes, it is charging. It gives you a little symbol,
Yeah.
but we still see it going down. Right? The camera is still
Like
the battery's-
slowly going
slowly
down.
it's decreasing. And
You
I'm telling look, guys, this is still going down. Like I'm talking to the assistant. I'm like, look, this is still. He's like, nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Even when it
the
hits
camera
zero.
operator.
Yeah, even when it hits zero,
Huh.
it's gonna be active.
Yeah. You start getting
we-
this doubt after like
right, and-
75%, right? हम कम ही जा रहे हैं.
And we trusted him, and then I think even before it hit zero, like somewhere at like 30 or 40, one camera just
Stop.
it just shut down, dude, mid recording, right?
So what do you do then?
We are frantically getting the camera to turn on again, and we managed to get it turned on using a different battery or whatever. But then, and we continue rolling. We think everything is great. But then you insert the SD card and you see, and this file that was recording is now like it goes into
Unusable.
this. It's corrupt. Like it's not exactly
Yeah,
corrupt,
yeah.
but you see the full file size. So if it's a
Yeah.
20 GB file, that 20 GB file is there.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it's not been written onto the card. It's there. But then you can't play it. It goes into this weird file extension
Yeah.
called an RSV format.
Yeah. Dot RSC.
.rsv.
But-
Normally
but,
videos are .mp4 MOV.
Dot
right? This is
MP4 MU.
it's like this strange format. It's there, the video is there, and you can press it, but like you can hit play, but nothing happens. So from there, it's just damage control. I'll spend a couple of sleepless nights, talk to some kid sitting in UP or MP or whatever he has a solution to my problem. I pay him a certain amount of money and get the footage back. Or I look at other free jugaad ways. Okay, how do I get out of this, by spending the least amount of money? I can say though, like with pride, that I did recover all the footage whenever this happened. It happened a couple of times.
But I'm sure this happened with me also. When like shit hits the fan with some client, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? What's like your game plan? That hey, like this has gone
Yeah.
and something has happened that is severe enough for the client to also be worried. So what do you do?
Like
First
losing
tell
footage? Like losing footage?
Yeah, it could be losing
I wouldn't
footage.
tell them until I'm absolutely
right
sure
off
it's
the bat?
gone.
Same, yeah.
Huh.
I wouldn't tell them.
I
until
would do
I'm-
damage
So-
control myself and I'll
'Cause-
go and tell them that hey, I did these 5 things. We can't do this and propose a solution.
Yeah.
We should do this instead.
Okay. I think like slightly opposite way. I just upfront tell them ki right after it's done ki this might have happened. Like I'll do everything in my power to probably fix it.
You're
But
setting
yeah,
low
you should know.
Expectations. Your expectation setting essentially, right? You're
Yeah.
telling them-
Because
No, I agree with
it
that,
comes,
but
it
but
comes at
why
a
give
later
them
phase when they have planned.
even that
If
little
you
bit
can
of
fix
stress.
it, then why tell them
Yeah.
to be
No,
stressed?
also I feel because I am sort of responsible for it.
100%. I
realize-
also take.
Yeah, but them knowing sort of like gives them a little more space to work around. Like if it comes at a later phase where they're planned for things, like then you are eating into their timeline is my thought process. But
No, but see, like for a podcast, for instance, right? You know that if it's gone, it's gone. Like there's no way I'm
Yeah.
getting that guest to
Yeah.
come and do this again.
Yeah.
So I don't see any benefit to telling them at that point. Like
Right.
even if I told them, look, this footage is gone, they're not going to wait for me do this whole thing again.
Right.
So I would rather just get the card in the laptop, see is the footage there, like is the size, like does that have weight to it? If it has weight to it,
then
it probably exists somewhere. I just have to
it's
do a
a
little bit
conversion
of
problem.
I just have to find one underage kid and pay him a little bit of money to recover this for me.
Dude,
Yeah.
isn't it crazy that most of your problems can be solved by one underage kid when it comes to anything content related?
Yeah.
There'll be
No,
one
technical.
I think
there'll be one kid sitting somewhere. I have experienced this, man. He'll be like, "हाँ भैया,
It's
भैया,
usually
ऐसा कर दो,
the-
ऐसा ठीक हो
Yeah.
जाएगा."
Yeah, it's usually the guy who
And he
no
can't
shade, but he can't
yeah.
speak English. Usually the guy who can't speak English
His message
speaks
is
less.
so mistake.
Yeah.
Like it's just like.
But he'll
wrong
be damn
decision.
smart with what he
Yeah,
does.
but he'll know the ins and outs of how to get this
Yeah.
sorted. Yeah,
True.
yeah. I mean, other times I've also just told them up front where I know that okay, nothing can come out of it. So yeah, for sure, I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay.
tell you
Oh, yeah.
then and there. I'm gonna tell you like, look, this has happened. Sorry, I fucked up.
Yeah.
What do you want to do about it?
Yeah.
You know.
I was
Crazy.
telling this to
What
someone
is
on my
your,
team.
what is your biggest fuck up
I
at a
was-
shoot?
I haven't had like a huge fuck up yet.
Okay. New.
But I was telling this to someone just yesterday. With all clients, I have this thing called a trust bank, right? And this works, you can apply this in real life also, where before something goes wrong everywhere.
Yeah.
At some point, something will get fucked up.
How long till you inevitably disappoint somebody?
Right.
Yeah.
So until that happens, you build a trust bank and you fill it up with so much trust that even if something goes wrong and a part of that trust is withdrawn,
Yeah.
you're okay because you still have so much more left.
I agree.
A big problem that people do is that they don't do that exercise. And that involves a lot of
Relationship
building.
Yeah.
It involves a lot of client
Going the extra mile.
Going the extra mile, right? Making sure that you are there for them even when they don't need it, right?
Yeah.
So when, for whatever reason, you have fucked up, they're like, hey, this person has been for me for so fucking long. This is okay.
It's probably not them. It's probably a one-off thing, is what
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
think.
So
and
they
they'll-
give you the
they'll
benefit of the
let you
doubt.
off the hook. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are, I think, the nuances that a lot of people don't understand. Like, so this is like a small client that I'm talking about, right? And I'm working with this team member and he's taking up a lot of the work. And I keep telling him that, hey, we are making too many small mistakes and we are going to die by 1,000 cuts. This is going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. I don't have anything on the
I've
line.
been there, yeah.
It's your salary. It's your this thing. You have to own this.
Yeah.
Because I have already told the client that, hey, I'm only at an advisory role and you guys are managing the show. Right. So if you don't, let's say the video was supposed to go out at 7 p.m., it went out at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And the client
That's a
told
cut.
you that it went out at 8 p.m. I think doing a mistake is still fine. Getting it pointed out by the client is
That's a big no, yeah.
no-no.
Problem, yeah.
Huge no-no.
Yeah.
I always say this, that you should be the first to communicate always. A mistake should be communicated by you first. An update should be given by you first. You should not let the client come to you, ask you what is happening. They should always know for no reason what is happening. Even if they have no action item, you should tell them, hey, weekly update, just wanted to let you know this is happening. Next steps is this. I will follow up at this time. I think that is what builds a lot of trust because they think that, hey, one, a lot of work is happening. So it's like perception. And second is that you are telling them things when you don't have to. So they're like, hey, if he is going out of his way and taking this initiative, then he will be like, he knows what he's doing. I saw this great example from Think School recently. Think School made some analysis error. Gyan Prakash, right? He put up a post somewhere, I think on YouTube community or LinkedIn, saying that, hey, this was such a stupid mistake. I'm so sorry. This is why the video has been taken down. And there were hundreds of comments saying, this is why we love Think School. This is why they can be trusted so much. This is why, it's completely okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that thing of falling on your own sword
Yeah.
to, sort of gain that trust. If anyone that's listening wants to charge more for whatever their services are, right? They will eventually get to a place where they are working with high value clients because they have the money. Now that high value, how you define it can be whatever, right? And the way that you do it is, one, have a body of work that you can show off, that you're proud of, which comes from passion and your interest and your skill. But that's only 10% of it. It is the foundation, it's the bedrock, but that's only 10%. And the remaining are these nuances like, are you able to build trust?
Yeah.
Are you able to own up to your mistakes? Do you have positive intent?
Yeah.
Right? And these are the things that differentiate someone who is earning, let's say, 20,000 rupees per gig to 2 lakh rupees per gig. Right? And effectively, the sky is your ceiling. Word of mouth travels very fast and it's insane how much word of mouth is important. Simply because if you are trusted, I have an incentive to recommend you because I will look good.
Yeah.
And Sanand said something so beautiful. He said,
It's like
especially
when you know an underdog and you want to share. Is
yes,
that what he said?
yes, exactly. And I
Yeah.
never realized this before.
It makes you look good also.
Exactly. That hey, I know this hidden gem that's
Yeah.
very cost effective that no one knows about. You should use
It's good karma also. Good
Yeah.
karma for you.
Yeah.
You
should-
feel
you
better
should
about
use it.
yourself.
Yeah.
So that's what, at least personally, I have been trying to do. That just do like a bunch of free work. And I think another great thing that you said was be more positive. Right? Don't always wait for something to come to you for you to give. Should give first, and then. I mean, I quote Alex Hermes so much, but he said something that's so beautiful. He said you should be creating so much value on the table that there's enough left for you to take over.
Okay.
Right? So because of your work, if you are able to create, let's say, 100 rupees for someone else, they would be okay giving you 10. Right? Now that 100 you can multiply with whatever you want. But I think that is essential. That it took me a while to understand. Have you had instances like that because you have your own gear, or because you've invested in yourself, it has given ROI but not immediate later down the line?
It's given me ROI almost immediately every time. Owning my own equipment, I think that's what enabled me to do any of the YouTube stuff. Or I feel very bad that I haven't been making good use of it of late, but I have done like a lot. Like I've done with my Fujifilm X-T4, which is a 1.5 lakh camera. I shot a movie that ended up on Geo Cinema. That was like a zero budget movie, and one of the reasons I was onboarded, whether I like it or not, is because I have
had
the
a
equipment
camera.
also, right? I was good at what I do. That's A. But also B, I have my own equipment, and it's a zero budget film, and right, it helps to have your own equipment. However, there are also a lot of DPs that I know who don't own their own equipment also. Depends on the kind of work you're doing. I think today, like it's great to have a camera if you can afford one. I think as fast as you can, you should try and get one, whether you're trying to be a cinematographer or if you're just being in content. Because there's just so much you can do. And even if you don't use it, honestly, like what's the worst? Like there's so many dumb things you spend money on anyway, right? Like, what's a 1 lakh camera in comparison to that? Like worst case, you will use it just for trips, which is still a good enough reason to own a camera.
What are like the top 3 unobvious or maybe obvious investments that you've made that have worked out for you? I'll tell mine first.
Okay.
For me, it has been my iPhone.
Okay.
I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is like 1 terabyte.
Okay.
Very expensive, completely worth it.
Why?
Amazing images, amazing videos.
Okay.
I never have to worry about something that I need to instantly capture. And that to me it's timeless. It is invaluable. If I want an image that is low light, high light, I don't have to worry at all. Right? And this will last me for like 5 years. I will way before that get ROI out of it.
Right.
Right? That's one. Second has been this recorder.
Right.
Right? It cost me some 18,000 rupees. It's a Zoom Podcast P4.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so great is that I can record up to 4 mics and it's a complete interface, right? And not just that, it's the physical feel of it, right? That you're not just recording into a computer. So regardless of who comes on, they will know that I'm legit.
It's its own computer.
Yeah.
Right?
The best part is it also has 4 audio
Individual gain.
Yeah.
Our headphones.
Oh, nice.
Out.
Sick.
Yeah.
So that it's pretty cool.
So that's second. Third, I would say my softbox. Total thing costs like 20,000, including the light and the softbox. And even if I'm not using it to like shoot something, right? It is a great thing to have just to like work. And I think that's one thing that I would recommend people that, hey, just like get good lighting.
Yeah.
I think good lighting just makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And in general, it just leads to good things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like design, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm a huge design fan.
Yeah.
Just like it makes you feel good, and that has so many more ripple effects.
Dopamine and serotonin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would some of those things be for you?
Yeah. Obvious ones, my computer, my MacBook Pro, which I got early on. I think that enabled me to like edit basically everything I've edited. Unobvious ones, my brick wall, which is the wallpaper.
Having like a physical space that looks
Having
good,
like a physical space.
that's critical.
It's similar to owning equipment, right? It's a space you own.
It's a huge asset.
Nobody's asking you to leave. No extra hours. No, having to pay that. And I'm trying to think.
I would say a small one for me is having extra batteries and SD cards. That's such a
Sure.
small thing, but I
Sure.
don't have to worry about. I have like 3 batteries per camera,
Sure.
so I can just like go for 4 hours,
Right.
ignoring the overheating issues,
Right.
and not have to worry about like 4K footage at all.
Like a mechanical keyboard, maybe. That would be like a third one. I don't know what it is about mechanical keyboard. It just makes you feel more productive. I don't know. It's one of those like emotional.
That's
Things.
a standing desk for me.
That's a
I've
standing desk for you?
I
Yeah.
always wanted one
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah.
It adds no utility to my life,
Yeah.
but it just feels fucking great.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can show off.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's perception,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
what-
it's kind of like wearing good clothes.
Yep.
People just take you more seriously somehow. Like, oh, that's a nice
Also,
standing desk.
It's something that's not directly related. Good clothes.
I was just going to say that you have a great fashion sense. Does that
good
fit in
clothes. I like clothes in general. It's one of the few material things I will spend money on. But it also doubles as a great first impression
First
tool.
impression.
Not just in client meetings, not just in dates. It just makes you feel great. I think,
Right.
getting good clothes, getting anything that's like intent driven, personal to you, anything that shows off your personality, I think is a
Taste.
taste.
What's
Taste is
that
a good
list
thing.
for you?
Yeah.
For me, I feel I spent a lot of. So I have a bike. It's just like makes no sense. I've spent like fucking 3.5 lakhs on it.
Which bike is it?
So it's a Triumph.
Nice. 400X?
No, it's a
Speed 400.
Yes, and I love the bike personally. Most people will be like, "Oh, bro, like fucking 3.5 lakhs, you'll get a car." Like that is the most common comment I've gotten on it. But I love the bike. Like
it's a sick
drives like a dream.
Yeah.
And second is shoes. I don't know why people buy cheap shoes. I have no idea, but I like not like I have like this 8,000 or like whatever 40,000 sneaker or anything. Because
40,000. What sneaker are you
No,
buying?
I'm
He doesn't
not,
have. He's
I
saying,
don't have. I'm just saying.
But there are
like,
sneakers that
will
are like
have-
lakhs. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, dude, Animesh has one that he just keeps inside.
Yeah.
It's like an
I
insurance,
don't
man.
exactly. I don't see the point of that. But I have a shoes which is somewhere around like 9,500, I guess. It's not great looking, but it's like comfortable as hell. It's not even like New Balance. It's Adidas.
Okay.
So it,
Is it a easy?
No. So it is mostly for like that combinational running, walking, and running type shoes, which you can wear. Brilliant. It has some cloud foam technology. It's super comfortable if you are wearing running. It's like a brilliant thing.
Also, another thing for me is this mic. So this is an SM58.
Yeah.
And I bought it because Tim Ferriss recommended it.
Okay.
And he was like, you can throw it at a wall
Right.
and it will survive. And I was
Right.
like, what is he talking about, man? It was like some 15,000.
Yeah.
And these other two were
Crazy.
like half that.
Yep.
And I bought this one first. And I thought, dude, this is brilliant. But sure, mine's 15 is a little too much. Let me just buy the other cheaper ones. Bad idea. I should have just gone with that. Like, if I were to change one thing, I'd be like, dude, just buy like 4 of those.
Yeah.
Super durable. And yeah, dude, just like buying good shit. No, it just lasts. I've not bought
Yeah.
equipment in like 3 years, man. Just insane.
I have a mic story too. I the first mic that I used was an Audio Technica ATR 2100.
I used to have their headphones. Audio Technica was those shit. No, I don't know
It's
if
still the
as
shit. No, it's
popular.
Hey,
still
it's
very
good,
popular.
bro.
They make great audio
Yeah.
equipment. It looks very similar to this actually. And the thing with that mic is, you can either do USB or you can do XLR.
XLR.
Oh, you can do
You can do
both.
both.
It's kind of like that Shure S7, or they have the smaller one, right? SM7 is the big
Right.
one.
Right.
They have an S7 or something. That's the cheaper, like half size one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's same.
That was, I got that in 2014-15 from America, and it was one of those instances where it was like my dad's friend, so he wouldn't take the money for it.
Yeah. But you have to give him the money now.
No, but it was like a present essentially.
Oh,
And it was
okay,
like
okay,
it's
peace.
like unlimited ROI on that. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't much. It was like $50, I think.
Okay.
And then I got 2 mics, very similar to that, just recently.
But my bucket list is buying like 4 SM7s. Yeah.
But I have a question. So I've spoken to a lot of like DPs, specifically me being also one. How do you like passion project is a thing that we all tend to do. Like there comes a phase where you're like, you do a lot of work, and then you're like, no, now I have to do something for myself, or else it's just like you can't get out of it. How do you figure out a good project, or how, like, do you have any sources? Where do you go to find good projects? Like, how do you do it?
At some point, I think you'll have to accept that every project that comes your way is not gonna be the project that you want to do, and you can't blame anybody for that, because inherently, like, somebody else is paying you to make a specific thing, right? So you'll never have that ultimate project, and it's almost never gonna click that somebody else is paying you to make something that is so close to you. That's not gonna happen, right? Come to terms with that. What I am trying to find more, I guess, purpose out of now is finding the right people to work with rather than the project itself. Of course, it's great. Like, I would love, like, my dream project, I don't know, would be something like a really, like, a legendary movie, like maybe like a ZNMD, or like an art house movie from like Iran or something like that, or like a Wong Kar-wai movie would be like lovely to do. But a lot of things have to come into place for that to happen. And now I just look for good company to work with. That age-old question of journey versus destination. Journey, but also company, I think, is something that I'm realizing. It helps to have, like, good collaborators. Having said that, I will still continuously pursue, like, that dream project or finding the good project. And I think that's just, again, reaching out to people continuously, being in touch with people who you want to work with. Right. And what I try to do is I'm always trying to find people that are on the same level or maybe slightly higher or lower, because it's going to be very difficult to, like, network with somebody that's, like, already made it. Like, you can't expect to go and shoot an Imtiaz Ali movie, right? Like, not right off the bat, at least. So finding, like, people, banking on them, staying in touch with them. How do you usually go about it? What is your process of, like?
So
how
with,
do you find a good
specifically
project?
with projects, my first criteria has always been the client.
Okay.
So it's generally like the first or second conversation, I generally get an idea of
Okay.
what the client is like.
Okay.
And I don't like working with clients who are cheap.
Okay.
Like, in their
Mindset.
cheap in their mindset, not specifically with their money, because they tend to give you the hardest time, and somehow, like, you don't end up doing your best work.
I agree.
You see the project and you're like, why, bro, this is not even, like, close to what I can do, but it's so shit that I can't even push this out and show, like, oh, I've done this project. So that's always something that I always look out for. If it's a cheap mentality client, I generally try to stay away from them as far as possible. But yes, company is also something that I look really forward to. But now I've gotten used to that, like, solo working, where you're, like, sort of hiring a little bit of the operator talent and stuff.
Right.
But I've sort of gotten used to it.
Have you found the dream project? Like, your North Star project?
Not yet,
Right.
yet, for sure.
Right.
Not yet. I love...
What would be your dream project?
So I have loved doing documentaries.
Okay.
Like, I loved watching documentaries. And if I could shoot one,
Okay.
that would be, like, the pinnacle of what I would want to
What
do.
would it be about?
Bangalore, ideally, because I'm, like, here, born, brought up. And I have seen a little bit of the history, because I think I was born in the era of the IT boom. So when I was a kid, bro, nothing is there in Bangalore. It's, like, mostly retirement places, and people who were in manufacturing was in Bangalore. Most of the central Bangalore was the Bangalore.
Okay.
Like, MG Road was considered outside the city. At least
Right.
when I was a kid.
Right.
Like, MG Road, why you want to go?
Yeah.
Indira Nagar was pretty much
Forget it.
retirement.
Yeah.
It's retirement only,
Yeah.
bro. It's not for bigger people and retirement.
Yeah.
I think it was commercially started off when
Yeah.
I was, like, a small kid. But then I have seen so much of the history of the city. I would love to do, like, a complete documentary of, like, the whole history thing happening.
What's stopping you?
The biggest thing I feel is, like, I'm not a great writer, and if I probably found somebody who could write history, would love to, take up the responsibility and do it. I've not yet found somebody who's, like, as interested as I am
Right.
with writing about Bangalore's history as I would be comfortable with. But yeah, that's something that I'm looking forward, ideally.
What would be your dream project? I don't think you're very creative. So
it's
you
not-
don't
it's
give
not-
a shit.
It's like,
You don't give a shit.
like
The dream
$100 million.
project is the one that's
$100
that's
million
giving me
project,
100
bro.
Yeah.
One project that pays me 100 million. Done.
He's not romantic about it.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I am.
It's probably the better thing to do, like not being romantic about work.
I'm much farther away on that scale than you guys.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I do get these bursts of creativity where I'm like, oh, let's do something really cool. But eventually I get to the point where after like one or two videos, it just dies out.
But I would argue that your Instagram videos are creative.
Yeah, so it's definitely there. I have that taste. But so I did like a bunch of these personality tests and I realized that I'm like a strategist at heart. So I really like planning things, thinking, optimizing, building, right?
Ali
I would,
Abdal.
huh?
Like an Ali Abdal.
Correct.
Ali,
Yeah, bro.
He seems too
even
robotic.
Though he's a doctor by
He seems
profession,
too
he's
robotic.
like he is robotic by heart. He's like,
Maybe.
Yeah.
I may not like to admit it, but maybe.
Yeah.
I
I mean, yeah.
think as much
Obviously, you're
as I
not
like to
that
hate on him, Varun Maya is a great sort of North Star, minus the bad parts. But I think he's, without being too creative, he's like built something, right? Or there are a couple of other entrepreneurs that not a lot of people know about. Paras Chopra is one. I really look up to him. Alex Hormozi is one. Zero creativity, but he's clearly done something great.
Some of these people look at creativity as a very like commoditized thing. Do you also view it like it's just
No,
like,
no, not like that. There are a lot of times when I want the thing to incite some sort of a feeling, right? At least in myself. I can't do something that is completely like after this we're going to go to that place, right? And I'll show him the video. I'll show you also the video that I edited in the past 2 days. And this is one shot where it's like a receipt comes in. It's a restaurant. So I wanted the intro shot to look like a bill, right? Because I saw this thing somewhere that actually I saw it for Travis Scott concert where they had like printed a bill.
I think I know which one.
And each of the songs
The concert
were like
date.
like a receipt
correct,
item.
correct,
And I was like,
correct,
that's
yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah.
I love doing shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Like mixing two things together that you wouldn't expect. And I was like, hey, we're doing this series. It needs a name. And I really like using, I don't know what it's called, like those phrases, sayings.
Catchy
like
phrases.
Having
Muhavre.
said that.
Acha.
Or,
Okay.
That catchy phrases.
like these phrases that
Yeah,
have
like
a meaning,
the
right?
two-word thing that rhymes. and
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't know if it's called a pun or whatever it's called. I
Yeah.
like using that. So I call the series a bill of health, right? Like a clean bill of health.
Okay.
So
Like a-
so the series is called Here's Your Bill, and because we do a
yeah,
different thing
yeah,
each
this is
time,
nice.
it's called off something. So
Here's
here's a
your
bill of
bill.
health of business. Here's a clean bill of business. Here's a clean bill of this. Here's a clean bill of whatever. Right?
But
I'm
it's
still trying to get the
bill of business for a restaurant.
So the idea is that we're talking about one different thing in each series, right? In each video. So like you see the bill on screen and then it zooms into that one single action item, and that's what we talk about in the video. So one video is hey, what's the most popular item in my Indranagar restaurant, right? And then he talks about that. So again, it doesn't have to make sense, but I try to find meaning in the things that I do. And that one receipt, I designed it from scratch, right? It took me like 6 hours.
Not
and,
AI.
And that's like 2 seconds of the video.
Right.
And I could have just taken some AI thing or I took it. So I really like doing that.
Nice.
There's this other project that I did for a client where she basically had a Zoom video and it was like a VSL and she wanted to convert that into like a testimonial, right? And she said, hey, like just do something with it. And I just thought, and I'm really proud of this. I just thought that it's a Zoom video. Why not make it into a Zoom video, right?
Okay.
So I designed the entire
Layout
Mac
of-
interface,
Nice.
every single UI UX element. It took me like 8 hours to do. And she's like, oh, I didn't give you a screen recording. How did you get this? And I was like, yes, that's proof that
It worked.
it's good work. So things like that I really like doing. But again, I'm not too like heavy on, hey, I want to make, I mean, I would love to make a documentary or something like that, but even if I don't, whatever. So I'm not that much driven by only creativity.
Yeah.
I would say that I am driven by creation, right? So have you seen Wikipedia?
Yeah, we spoke about that.
Yeah. So Wikipedia
That
is
was damn
something
fun,
that I
yeah.
created. I realized it doesn't have too much like
Utility,
the
as
legs
much
to, yeah. And it was more of like the first thing that I made, and it was like this your
Baby.
first child,
Yeah.
it's your baby. Then I made in the past year or so, I made around 25 different apps, right? Different use cases. Oh, I'm on a live sales call and someone gives me like a unique sort of use case of services that they want, and I know that if I end the call and give them like a proposal 2 days later, the likelihood of me converting is so less. So I just created an entire dashboard that on live I can just like change sliders and move up and down my profit percentage and like just fit it on the call
Sick.
itself, right? And with one button it gives me the entire proposal using a template, using all the things that I've just input. So that's a live problem that I've just solved, right? I really like doing things like that. We have an internal tool that I'm trying to go live. It's Wikipedia but for thumbnails. Now we make a shit ton of thumbnails, right? Even for samples, I sent like a free thumbnail. So now my editor was telling me that, hey, like you have this mind map in your head that you're able to just know which thumbnail looks like what. Oh, that channel did this channel did this. I can't do that. And I get it. That's kind of my unfair advantage. So can we have something like that where I can see what's in your head? And it be a lot more functional than just like an Excel sheet or a Notion document. So I just sat one day on Claude and I just like coded the whole thing. And now it's an internal tool that I just like whip it up every day.
Sick. Share that across.
Yeah, I can show you now after. I just make it live and then you can literally, there are different filters. So you can filter for elements within the thumbnail. Let's say, those thumbnails with like that tweet ka screenshot.
Yeah.
Or it can have
Which
like
is being overdone. Yeah.
Yeah, it can have a certain element, right?
Yeah.
It might have like a blueprint. Alexander does this a lot.
Yeah.
Or it might have, I don't know, like some social media logos, or like Iman Ghazi, you have like 5 icons, but they're in a certain layout. So now you know in your head what it looks like, but you don't know, you want to find that thumbnail. And how do you search for a thumbnail on YouTube? You can't. Right? So now the idea is that, hey, you want 1-face thumbnail, 2-face thumbnail, 4-face thumbnail, you want 2 faces with one thing on the side, you want text on the screen, you want one ladder, you want this, you can literally search for it. You want to search it by channel, by niche, by whatever, how many views it has. So that becomes really helpful. So much so to the extent that if, let's say, there are certain creators who are making,
they would pay for
example,
this,
only LinkedIn content. Right? Let's say I know that, hey, like that one dude makes LinkedIn content. I just want to know what kind of thumbnails he makes, right? Because I have another client who makes, let's say he's a service business owner. So I'll just search LinkedIn and I'll find like 5 people who are making similar content and you'll notice trends. So you can just zoom out to a certain extent that you can't otherwise, right? So I love building things like that. Not my goal, but one of the things that I would love to do is something that is used by or impacts like a shit ton of people, right? Like a specific problem that, I'm more of an entrepreneur than creator that way. Even videos in my head are not an outlet for creativity, but they're an outlet for creation.
Means to an end.
No, I wouldn't say means to an end. It is me making something from 0 to 1. It's not me expressing myself. It's me making something, right? So I think that is where I differ a lot. Oftentimes when I've shot the video, I have scripted it, I have shot it, I've thought it out, I just lose motivation because I realize the editing is not something that I find fun. The thinking of how it should be and knowing that, hey, if I do this, this will happen, that is fun. I know that I can do the edit if I wanted to. But in my head, the game's already over before the edit, right? Because I know exactly what it should look like. Even with this podcast, once I know, let's say all the thumbnails that we've created, right? Once I ideated them, I just knew that, hey man, like my work is done. Now you do it. I don't want to do it, right? Because it's that the precursor to actually doing it that takes
correct
the actual thinking, right? And that's why I've realized that I'm so good at reviewing things versus doing them myself. I know I can do them myself, but I just have so much more ROI reviewing them, because in that 2 minutes of talking to me, you will get so much clarity that it will take me 30 minutes to actually execute it myself. Right. So that way I'm definitely very different than, let's say, you, Animesh, and these guys. I tell you, are you a movie buff?
I guess, yeah.
So I do this thing that really offends people, is that I don't watch movies. I watch movie reviews.
Oh no.
So I just want to know the story.
Just so you can be part of the dinner table conversation.
No, I don't even care. I just want to know the story. Right? I just want to, like,
He
I'm
just
very
wants to
curious.
know what's the hype is about.
Who's your go-to guy for spoiling, for giving
I have
spoilers?
movie recaps, man. Yeah, movie recaps is great.
Okay.
Like, I just want to know the story, right? That, hey, this happened, and then this happened, and this was the twist. I just want to know that.
So you don't watch a lot of movies?
Not
Bro,
entirely.
if you
Not
see him
entirely.
watching a movie after watching a movie, bro, the retention was so high in the
Yeah,
movie. Is what
dude,
he
I saw
says.
Interstellar in IMAX. My friend dragged me to it, and I was like, "Bro, amazing retention, bro." I
Bro,
don't know how
I
the
like,
fuck.
he can't like differentiate retention from
Writing
immersion.
from good writing or from immersion. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I can't. My
that
brain doesn't
differentiation-
stop. Dude. I can't
Yeah.
switch off that YouTube strategy, wala. This thing, like
Actually,
everything.
he's been talking like this a lot.
Who?
Well, last time I met KD, he was
Yeah,
everything from him was like retention.
yeah,
yeah,
too much
yeah.
absorption from one end.
Yeah. That is like I'm like thumbnail. Oh, Jesus, copy. Oh, size ye bada do, ye kar do, wo kar do. I can't get out of it, at least for the time being. Who would you recommend to come on?
Yeah.
Like Colin and Samir.
That will be a very meta episode.
I think like maybe if you can get somebody like from like higher up in the management at like YouTube.
Interesting.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Interesting.
You know what I want to do? I have these wacky ideas, right? Have you seen those channels about TV shows? So the official Suits TV show channel, or the official, what TV show do you watch? Or what's your favorite?
Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect.
The Office, great. Have you seen the way that they make these compilations?
Yeah.
Of 40 minutes of Kevin being the clumsiest person,
Yeah.
37 minutes
Yeah.
of Office being the some adjective.
Yeah, cold
Dude,
opens,
I
this,
went
that.
for like 39 cold opens selected by
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Dude, I did this analysis, and bro, they are hyper optimized. They are meant to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they're milking.
Yeah.
It's not just the show being good,
Correct.
but the way that they use YouTube
It's
to
edited down to the T.
yeah, it's edited down to the T. They know even that selection, right? Of I've always wondered, you have 20 seasons of an episode of a TV show. How do you select, like how do you go through it and decide that, hey, this is a common theme that you can get from this one character? Like, I'm just super
I'm
impressed.
sure that's a very high paying job actually. That
Yes,
editor who's working on that.
I would love to get that strategist on board and ask you, dude, how the fuck did you think? And then it's a cycle, right? You do it, everyone else does it.
Right.
And if you think about it from a business standpoint, that's a beautiful business model. You open up an entire niche and you are the only person who can do it.
Yeah.
True.
It's tried and tested.
Yeah.
It's like crafting like a baby like a kid's show.
Yeah,
Honestly.
true.
Like you've seen that we've all seen that video, right? Where there's babies watching the TV and they're like noting down like every second of when it looks away and when it's same thing, like crafting it down to.
You know, funny that you mentioned babies. There's actually it's not related, but there's a new trend that's been up and coming. It's not related to what we're talking about. Micro dramas. Do you know about this?
Short form vertical.
It's a short form.
It's a vertical
TV show.
Vertical TV show actually.
I saw this one, which was, of course.
Yeah, I've
it was
been
some,
asked to shoot some.
soft porn related.
I've been asked to
thing.
shoot some of these.
Not
Not the soft
Dude, I'll
porn.
tell you. No, I'll tell you. The one I saw was
It's not.
was borderline soft porn, and it was 8 minutes. I saw every second of it.
Did you enjoy
There was
it?
no porn. To be fair, there was no porn.
Did you enjoy it?
I actually enjoyed it. It had good story. It had good ups and downs. And I was like, bro, what the fuck is happening? I saw it partly because of the content, partly because I was like, dude, I'm 3 minutes in, I'm still watching it.
Yeah.
And then I did a deep dive. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry in Korea.
Yeah.
It's I've heard about this.
And it's
I've heard
already
about this.
entering India. I was talking to a script writer who's writing for short form.
I know a few people who have done this. I am I know somebody who's starting, like a major player is starting an OTT specifically for.
I would love to understand
Vertical
the
format.
economics there
Actually,
and
very
how that
interestingly,
works.
there was a previous experiment that went wrong. They had raised $1 billion to make this app.
Oh, yeah,
Vertical. I had
yeah.
written a LinkedIn post about this also. So they raised $1 billion. So the guy who, like, there were two founders. One was the guy who started Dream Studios.
The one
Sorry,
that's
Pixar Studios.
Pixar, yeah.
Yes, inside. So he started like the whole vertical. I might be missing some information here. He's the guy who started that, and there was the other person was CEO of HBO or something. I forget. But she was also like a heavy hitter. Both are heavy hitters, full pedigree. They were able to raise $1 billion from all major outlets, media outlets. and they launched the app also, and they closed within 6 months.
Okay. Reason being?
Nobody paid. It's just like nobody paid.
I actually think vertical video is temporary. It's not here to stay.
Someone said this also on one
Because
have a-
previous-
I have a
I
very
have a very
different-
solid case to back it up also.
I have a very different view on this, but please, yes.
Where do you consume vertical video right now?
phone.
Phone, Instagram mostly.
You don't consume it on TV. You don't consume it
No,
on
no,
your
never.
big screen. Now this phone, I very strongly believe it's going to become obsolete.
That's a good point. Could be.
Five to 10
AR
years.
or VR or something.
5
like
to
that.
10 years. Like, what do you use your phone for?
Everything
Your phone?
right now.
Yeah, but it's not, you're not using your phone because, well, some of it is because you want to, but you're using a phone to book an Uber. You're using a phone to get food delivered. You're using a phone to mark something on your calendar. In 5 years, I know I can do these things by voice. Vision Pro or whatever, that's stuff that's happening. AR, Ray-Ban glasses, right? And when you put those on, I don't think vertical video is as pleasing to consume
As horizontal.
on the Vision Pro headset, right? Like you've seen demos of that, I'm sure. In that, a vertical video, I don't see it being very effective too, because naturally your eyes are like in a horizontal fashion,
Horizontal,
right? Like
yeah.
you've probably heard this argument
You
before.
never know, man. We might evolve to have fucking eyes like this.
But I hope, man,
Yeah.
that would be the day. Like that would be.
Dude, actually, if you think about it, there is no animal that has eyes like this, no?
No.
Why is that? That's a great Gyan Central video.
Bro, it's
Because God does not want vertical video to take.
That's
Yeah.
a hook clip.
I feel like vertical videos will stay for the longest period, but I don't think people will pay for vertical videos as a subscription. मतलब ऐसा है कि कुछ को पे करेंगे like
Smaller the
it's like-
screen, cheaper the content.
yeah.
There's that saying, right? I think Tanmay
Correct.
said it. Like the smaller the thing, the bigger the screen, the more expensive it is.
Yeah.
Very interesting notion.
I don't think it is going anywhere, but you would probably prefer, like, your first instinct is to not pay for vertical content. Like it's
Yeah.
instinctive now.
Yeah.
Now that because we have been used to all shots, like
Yeah.
reels and everything, we don't want to pay, and we are getting high production value out of it. We will never pay for vertical content, I feel.
Very highly commoditized.
Yeah, but like very like these, like the ones that he was mentioning, like where you're like internal it's trying to scratch and
The
sort of making
underbelly content.
underbelly content that might make some money out of it, but like I don't think.
Very well written stuff.
I think it's
Yeah.
also we'll wrap up after this, but it's also a function of community, right? If you think about it, the bigger the screen, the bigger the time you spend watching it. Like my watch is just something that I
Yeah.
spend maybe like half a second on.
Correct.
Right? My phone I spend a little bit more, but I generally multitask when I'm using it. Right? I'm not only focused on that. Bigger the screen, you're only focused on that. And as a consequence of it, more people are focused on it, so there's more to talk about. How many times have you talked about a reel specifically outside of Instagram? You talk about it on DMs. You don't, there's very little that sort of traverses that boundary of digital and physical.
Actually,
Right.
I do think that's. My mom talks about reels she watched all the time.
Yeah.
All that, okay, that doesn't happen with me.
Yeah, because
No, but I think it's very common now, right? Like I
Yeah.
saw this on that reel the other day. I saw
Yeah.
that.
No,
Know,
but-
to bring up
but-
in a conversation
But it's
in real
not
life.
about the reel itself, right? Like you would talk about a TV show or a movie.
No, it's
and
about the
it's a-
reel.
it's a more
it's about general
central
things,
Do you remember who made that reel?
and also
It's about the information in the reel. Exactly.
It's not about the creator.
Yes.
I have a different view on this. I feel like it depends on the production value or like the effort that has gone into something. So it doesn't matter if it's a film or like a short movie or a YouTube video or a reel, but it is 100% like the
You can make a
intrigue
highly
that they have
produced
developed.
thing and it would still be shit and people will forget.
Correct, but it's the amount of intrigue that it's able to develop.
But you don't need production value for that, no?
No, I'm not saying you need production value. I'm saying your intent to produce. It's like how much effort has gone into making it
You're
look
saying
the way it is.
that determines how much you talk about it later, or you're saying that determines the paywall thing?
No, it how much you talk about it. Like the more intrigue you are able to generate from it, something, the more it is going to be talking about. It's like the Dravid ad. I think that point of time I never talked about any other cinema than the Dravid ad.
It's
It
kind of
doesn't
that,
made-
that
huh.
polarizing shit again. Tanmay talked about it, right?
Correct.
So the more crowded a space gets, the more polarizing the content gets.
Yeah.
So
probably.
you have to stand out. You can't, like before on YouTube to get monetized, you just have to make videos consistently.
Yeah.
Now to get monetized, you have to be Mr. Beast, retention heavy. You put this in the edit, like 4 words are coming every single time in that fuck all font. So, yeah.
Very-
User,
Point
user
is-
behavior has to change.
Yeah.
Like you pointed out, don't imagine myself paying for
Yeah,
a
I
9
probably
by 16 video.
correct.
User
I would
behavior
never
has to
pay.
change for that. It's
Yeah.
a big shift in
But that's because we have seen the precursor to this.
not necessarily.
You have seen a world without phones, right? Where
Oh,
you used to watch TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
So
sorry. Yeah.
we like our
Yeah.
anchor to what value in media is a TV. Like when I used to watch Cartoon Network, and I used to go to school and talk about that one Dexter's Laboratory episode that happened, or some Power Rangers episode that happened. But now everyone is on their phones. Like kids, they get phones like 5 years earlier.
And kids nowadays don't watch TV. I've
Who
never,
watches TV?
like
No one watches TV.
all my cousins, they don't even look at TV.
And they all have phones.
Yeah.
If they're on TV, it's on YouTube.
No, they don't have
Not
access
even
to
that.
the
They'll
TV.
just watch it on their phones
Yeah.
or laptops.
Yeah, like they
Right,
don't
so-
have access to the TV because somebody in the house is
Then I
watching
think
and they don't
something
want
is
to like
happening in
intrude or
Gen Z,
something.
Gen Alpha. Not Gen Z, Gen Alpha
No.
or Gen Beta.
Gen Alpha, Gen Beta. Yeah.
Beta, yeah. Betas are all betas. But yeah, that we may not be aware of. But an interesting question nonetheless.
Yeah, because I've like all the young kids at my home, they've never looked at a TV. Like they don't generally watch, and also because mostly we are only watching the TV. So,
Lol.
so if it's on,
You're not
we are
letting them
watching
watch
it.
the TV.
Yeah,
You're watching
exactly.
all the Cartoon Network.
Older the person, bigger the screen.
Yeah. Expensive the screen.
More expensive the screen.
Actually, very true, no?
Yeah.
Fuck, man, interesting. But cool.
Cool.
Is that the pod?
Yes.
That's the pod.
Cool, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much. for
Subscribe
being
to
here.
the Content Playbook.
Yes.
Thank you.
Merch coming on the way very soon. Oh shit,
Yeah,
should I
yeah,
not
Actually,
reveal that?
Yeah.
It is coming.
No, it is.
So, yeah,
We want to get something done a certain way. It's just that it's not happening that easily. But yes, merch is on the way.